Hello and welcome to another episode on the High Level Experience. It's me, Vit, your host, and my co-host Andrew from ChatHQ. Super excited about this episode number 3. Yeah, what's up, guys? Sorry, mate. I'm kind of really when I do this intro, it's you get psyched up, and so you kind of space everybody else out. But sorry about that, mate.
Oh, me? Don't apologize to me, bro.
Let's roll.
Every podcast I've ever listened to, you always hear overlapping voices. That's something I'll never see as a problem, right?
Yeah.
I'll just be in the background saying, hey.
Yeah, I'll just steal the beginning and then we'll jump into it. We'll flow. All right, guys. So thank you again. Thank you for jumping on another episode. If you're still listening and you have listened to the previous episodes, we thank you. We appreciate you. But let's get cracking on this one because we're super excited. Our guest today is a mastermind in the realm of business growth and automation, known for his remarkable ability to transform the fortunes of million-dollar companies, coaches, and experts. With a knack for doubling revenues in under a year and freeing up entrepreneurs to engage in meaningful work, he brings a wealth of practical strategies and innovative approaches to the table. His expertise in optimizing sales life cycles and marketing automation has empowered businesses worldwide to achieve calm, predictable, and organized growth. Please welcome to the show Chief Fixer Tim Hyde from Win More Clients.
Thanks, mate. How do I do a little confetti, little audience cheers, some confetti in there?
I need some confetti. That was the best intro that I think I've ever had on a podcast.
Courtesy of ChatGPT OpenAI.
Yeah.
Man, I'm surprised it didn't sort of give me a book. Every time I've written a bio on ChatGPT, it's sort of said, oh, and he's authored this book. I'm like, wow, have I? No, that was amazing. It's great to be
Tim
here.
Hyde?
I don't know who it is. There's not that many of us.
So, Tim, really good to have you. I mean, how long has it been since we had a podcast together? I've been on your show a month and a half ago, but the one that I had you on, that was
probably a couple of months ago, I reckon. You're on my show, my new show, More Clients, Less Effort, where we drill into systems that successful entrepreneurs use to kind of, supercharge their business. But it's good to be on yours. Good to be on yours.
100%. And good to have you on again. The one that we did, the very first one, that was during COVID, beginning of COVID, back in Canberra, when I was in Canberra, on the Success Inspired one. You remember that one? That was 4 and 5 years ago.
Oh God, is it that long? Have we known we must have known each other for close to 10 years already.
It's been a while.
That's been.
Yeah.
I'm the odd man in the group here, huh? Hi, boys. The outsider.
We've just met. Who's this bloke?
Right? So I'm just lingering. I'm just kind of hanging out. No,
Tim, Andrew, he is the CEO of ChatHQ, a software company that helps other high levelers with basically providing their clients with a lot more. It's like taking the chat widget but putting it on steroids. It's basically my way of understanding ChatHQ.
Yeah. We're a customer engagement platform, so we built on top the idea that doesn't matter if it's sales, success, support, right? Marketing, everything kind of runs through engagement. So we originally were like, hey, this high level chat widget sucks, so we need to make it better. And in the process of doing that, we built a little intercom baby. So very much, it's got live chats and AI and all these different tools. If you think of what's the link tree? If you think of link tree in a way, it's like building that within a chat widget, right? And giving you all these different options to choose from, but then engaging. So building pop-ups and things like that to engage with visitors or customers in your application, tracking data, all that stuff. So
I think there's this thing that people still, as much as AI is awesome, right? People still want the human experience. In fact, I read a study recently that suggested that whilst AI-powered autoresponders gave more accurate information, right, based on the data that they were provided. And there's some really cool stuff saying, here is the source material, answer any questions related to this source material, right? And you could feed in tons and tons of data into that. But when you told people that they were getting, I think it was in the context of medical advice, when you told people that they were getting medical advice from an AI, the confidence in the response went from, 70, 80%
Plummeted.
down to 1
Yeah.
or 2%, plummeted. And I think we're still in this transitionary space right now at the end of 2023 where people want to know whether they're talking to an AI or not, right? 5 or 10 years time, it'll be so commonplace that we engage with AIs, and I predict the intersect of AI and robotics where we'll have AI assistants in our home. But right now, at the end of 2023, 2024, we're still in this space where I'm not quite super comfortable with this in my life and how I interact with it, and I still want this human interaction, right? We all hate, long-winded, voice autoresponders. When you call someone up and says, press 1 for customer support, press 2 for sales, press 3 for this, press 4 for something else, right? If you don't know what you want to press 0 and we'll return you to the previous menu. And then, of course, it hangs up, right? Which is just such a, it's just such a super frustrating experience. All right, speak to an agent. But, we're still in a space where we want that kind of human interaction. And, if we can facilitate that and use this intersect between AI and human interaction to give intuitive responses at different stages of our life cycle, we're already, 10 steps ahead of competitors that are not offering that.
So I got a cool little topic that we can dig into. Do you feel, because this is how I feel when I just press any button to get to an agent in those call segments where it's like press one, I'll just press like billing, like, oh, what's your billing question? I don't know. I need to talk to somebody. It's not billing, right? Is it?
You reckon that's the shorter queue, do you?
Yeah. It's definitely always the shorter queue. Is AIism, right? And I'm using those words, right? Just put them together. But is it the inability to just inherently think automation, like non-human intervention, is going to solve your problem? Because that's how I feel. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't care what it is. If I don't think AI can solve it, I am getting to a human as fast as possible. But that could be just baked into my head. And I'm somebody who deals with AI all the time, right? Like builds it, deals with it. So could it possibly be that humans, if you know it's AI, have this almost, I guess, AIism is like the best way to say it. It's very much like this deep-rooted negative perspective of AI that they just don't even want to interact with it, right?
Yeah, like I reckon there's definitely some people out there that are still suspect of it, right? The Skynet Terminator kind of thing, or there's this, I think still, again, because it's so new, right? If I went back to a podcast I recorded at the beginning of 2023, AI wasn't a thing, right? Yeah, look, we had some early AI tools, we had the Jaspers and some of the copy.ai tools that were out there that used very early iterations of ChatGPT. Very, very controlled AI, and how far it's come in a year, right? And we've seen a massive explosion of AI tools because the tools are being created by a no-code AI, which is then creating other no-code AI, right? And the pace of development is not only outpaced our ability to adapt, and even those of us who are in the space, right? We're all in tech, so we kind of get this stuff. But if I talk to my parents about AI and they're like, "Oh my God, I just don't understand any of it," right? Humans' ability to adapt to the pace of technology is just not kept up. And let's not even get into the legislative changes required to. Yeah, it is, right? So, legislators are going to have to kind of think 20 steps ahead and build frameworks, not necessarily specific legislation, on how to deal with emerging technology in a way that can be managed, because they're 10 years behind, right? Someone's just thinking about, oh my God, how do we deal with this AI stuff and the implications of that for for jobs, for whatever else. How do we deal with that as a society? And those conversations are only just starting. let's get a committee together.
So if there's a country or a place right now in the world that's like the most regulated, it feels like it, I'd say it's bloody European Union, because
Yeah.
they are already talking about this.
Yeah.
I just
I
saw it.
saw an
I read it in
article,
the
yeah.
news.
But they've got the foundation of that with GDPR, right? But GDPR is a response to cold email, right? We had spam legislation. Let's go back and paint a bit of a history, right? So the Can Spam Act was introduced in 2006, right, to deal with email, right? And it's proved largely toothless, right? Because let's face it, cold email is one of the sort of the coolest, marketing tactics that you've got, at least for another month and a half. Right, so maybe a couple of weeks by the time this episode's launched, right? So, but it's taken GDPR in Europe, let alone any other parts of the world, in terms around privacy and data privacy, has taken a good 10 years to develop and kind of come into the common vernacular. But let's look at what the pace of what everything is doing now. Can you imagine what AI is going to be like in 10 years' time? And how it is going to interact with you and your personal data, because everything you say, everything you put online, right, every click you do, whatever it happens, is going to collect data on you, and that is going to feed into AI to kind of get this instant response, to get a picture of who you are and what you do, and anticipate your
What you
actions
want to
and
happen.
buying habits
Yeah.
and what you want to happen. Okay, all right, and let's not worry. Let's not worry about your name and your date of birth. Let's talk about that as a kind of concept around privacy. If something can anticipate your actions, well,
do you have free will?
Do you have free will?
Are you being manipulated? Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's funny because like when your phone listens to you, like the microphone's on,
it doesn't.
It hears what you're saying.
let's pretend that it doesn't.
Let's, for everyone else listening, it doesn't, but it really does. So, this happens to me all the time, especially with Alexa, right? I actually call it Echo now instead of Alexa because of all this stuff where you say the name and it responds. But I can't remember what I was doing. I was doing something, and 30 minutes later, I sit down to eat, and it's right there in front of me, and it's showing me like kind of like ads or things to do, because it's always promoting like, hey, what can you do in Jacksonville or whatever, right? And I was chuckling when you were saying that about predicting future actions, because there's a comedian, I can't remember his name now. He's got a new special on Netflix, and really raunchy, really dirty comedian. It's hilarious. That's my kind of humor. And he like randomly is screaming at the audience. And I won't say it on this podcast because it's a little dirtier than just saying like fuck or shit, right? And he's screaming at the audience and no one knows what the hell is going on. And he's like, after saying it about 6 or 7 times, incredibly loud, like very loud and like in their face and not doing anything else, no context, he goes, okay, now when you get back home and you look at your phone. So he basically setting them up to get ads for this like ridiculous sexual thing that's I'm not even going to go into, but it was absolutely hilarious. And it just touches in on all that like privacy stuff, right? It's like, we're already listening. Whoever wants to listen is already listening. They're just going to put AI behind it and just amplify everything. Everything's going to be completely different in 10 years. The way that we interact with businesses, the way that we interact with the internet, even just home devices, like look at smart homes, right? They're going to be 10 times further down in the future, like further along in the future with AI in 10 years.
I mean, in particular for you, Tim, I mean, when I first met you, way back, you were already known as the automation expert. So your world, and you come from a company called, hang on, help me out here. It's got a little green logo.
The green logo.
The platform that you use.
Yeah,
yeah, but it used to be called
Infusionsoft.
Right, so you're an Infusionsoft guy, right? So your big thing is you always sort of built your expertise on automation. How do you see that, that expertise that you have, that knowledge, but now it's sort of like this divergence between, traditional building sequences, and now we've got AI. Like, what do you make of that? How do you transition?
I think we've got to come back to some fundamentals of marketing here, right? And how people interact with communication. Now, as human beings, we're still pretty complex stuff, right? You just have to take a photo with your 50 megapixel phone and then compare it, take a look at the photo compared to what your eye can see and go, holy shit, right? Those two things are poles apart, right? The humans, right, Homo sapiens, are still a remarkable thing, right? Our ability to compute and anticipate and all those sorts of stuff still far exceeds what we've got in AI, right? And AI is very cool, but it's still very programmatic. But as humans, what we've also done is we've programmed ourselves, right? When we're toddlers, we learn to walk. We put one foot in front of the other, and we're sort of teaching ourselves. We're self-learning, a bit like what AI is starting to become, right? We're self-learning, and we teach ourselves. And what we forget that as adults, if I have to go to the shop, the wife says to me, can you go down the shops and grab some milk? Right? That's not a single thing. It's not a kind of like press one button and it happens. There's actually a whole bunch of programmatic stuff that happens in that. Like I've got to pick up the remote control and press pause on Netflix and then put the remote control down and push the dog off my lap and then stand up and then walk around the dog and grab the handle and turn the handle to the right and then pull it towards me and then remember to close it. There's a ton of, and then go, oh shit, I've forgotten the keys and, whatever else. There's a whole bunch of programmatic stuff that happens in sequence to achieve that outcome. And whereas, say, over the last 20 years, we've done, an automation engineer has had to design those sequences, for, I guess, all the permutations of conversations and action that a customer might have coming through your life cycle. We're starting to use AI to anticipate some of those things and do it much faster, right? But we can't lose sight of the fact that that customer is still going on a single journey, and we need to get them to an outcome that anticipates a whole bunch of different things. Okay, so I can't just use AI to be every single tool in the shed.
Right.
I can use different AIs, and they need to interact with each other. But if someone doesn't know who my business is, AI is not going to help me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they're not engaging with me as a kind of, and learning to like me or my company as a business, they won't buy from me.
Right.
All right. So I've heard a couple of AI phone calls, right?
Like branding is just separate from because it's about emotions, it's about connection, it's about all kinds of different things. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And AI can certainly help with that, but it is not the only tool in the shed that we have.
Right.
Right. I listened to an AI generated phone call recently. I've actually had one myself, which was kind of cool, right? To be in the receiving end of an AI phone call for the first time, right? And it didn't introduce itself as an AI, which was interesting. I said, "Is this an AI?" And he's going, "Yes, actually, I'm an AI." So that was kind of really weird, right? But I listened to one selling wine subscriptions, a recording one. I suspect it's on YouTube if you want to go and sort of do a search for AI wine sales. And obviously, it can do hundreds of dials a second compared to, what a human can, or maybe a call center. But it's got a hold of this lady, and she's like, in this wine club, and she's like, oh, we don't really have it right now. Interest rates are going up. Can't afford the mortgage. Definitely can't afford to buy a case of wine. And of course, this AI, its goal is to sell, right? It's been obviously programmed to say this is the objective you want to achieve. So it's gone, yes, but it's an amazing. We've got this dozen Rieslings. They're fantastic. They're not going to be available for very long. And, if you buy it now, we're going to give you a bit of a discount, blah, 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 blah. And eventually this woman's gone, okay, I'll give in. I'll buy it. Here's my credit card. Right. And it's taken the order. Now all of her objections and concerns, like I need to speak to my husband about this. And of course it's gone. I know, but if you do that, I won't be able to hold this order for you, kind of thing. Right? That potentially a good salesperson can do. But what I thought it lacked was the intuition to go and maybe future pacing, to go, if I sell this wine right now, is this person going to cancel their subscription and therefore I lose lifetime value of customer to achieve the immediate sale? So super cool, but potentially at this stage not necessarily anticipating or reading the situation in the same way that a human might do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just not enough neural connections, right? Like
not enough neural connections, right? And I'm fully predicting at some point we're going to have AI salespeople talking to AI. Like, I'm just going to put my, answer my calls with AI, please.
AI talking dude, that happened to me. I'm sorry, but I know you have something to say, but that happened. So we send automation through HighLevel, and I sent, it was a text. I never send SMS blasts. I send emails. We don't like to pay for them. And our industry is you guys, all high-level agencies. So it's like, we know we're not going to get a lot of business out of that. Right. So I sent a blast though, just to let people know, like we had this Black Friday deal. Then I get a text back saying, "Oh, hey, thanks for contacting us." What? Then my AI kicked in. "Oh, thanks. Here's my calendar link." And their AI is like, "Here's my calendar link." And it was like a 7 or 8 message conversation, just AI going back and forth. And all they want to do is book a call with a link. It was priceless. It was priceless. So
That's cool. Here's what I'm excited about. Copywriting and AI and like those 3 things, like AI, copywriting, and personalization. Like more personalized you can be, more dialed in, the message is going to be higher, the conversion is going to be up, rather than the good old shotgun approach, which doesn't really work that well. And combining good data, like keeping really good custom fields and like being really dialing lots of custom fields that would be important, and then creating them into a good workflow, into a good sequence, and then passing that data, that unique data. I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about this, but I think this is the next thing when it comes to marketing, if done right. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that, right? And again, this is what we're doing already, right? So, a good copywriter and a good sort of automation engineer is sort of planning out all the permutations of communication, right? I anticipate that when you click on that link, this is what I want to do next. I anticipate when you read that email, I want to send you this next because you opened the content. I anticipate when you clicked on that, chatbot and selected option 2 for billing because it's a shorter queue, right? That I want to do this next thing, all right? And I want to add you to a custom audience in Facebook to start doing some brand advertising to you. I want to send you an email. I want to follow up with a text. Whatever it happens to be, we're still sort of in some ways kind of engineering that customer journey. And previously it would have been someone anticipating that this is the copy that I need to send. I think what you're describing there, Vit, is definitely that next level where, we're taking what we know about a client. And again, not necessarily their name and date of birth and all that sort of stuff, but we're taking what we know about a client based on their behavioral profile. What pages did they visit? How long were they on that page? And we're customizing our copy as a result of that, and then sort of feeding that back, right? But we're still a little way away from that. The copy tools are still a little bit, I guess, rote. It's not.
Oh yeah,
they're not really nuanced.
So we already have custom data merge tags within the widget, right? So it's like, if the system I have ChatHQ installed in has certain data, I could pull that out. Whether it's installed in HighLevel, I know like the username, user role, email, things like that. And if it's data that I provide through the URL, I can pull that in. So it's like, if I give you a URL with UTM parameters like name, company, whatever, and I send it through HighLevel, and I have that data in your contact, I can show that in the widget. Like, hey, Tim, welcome to my website. It'll say that in the actual header. So what I'm thinking now is using behavioral patterns. So like navigation through the website and being able to identify that in merge tags. So back end of a website, you identify each page with a specific ID and then pull that ID into the widget and then say like previous page. So like in the header, will say, hey, Tim, so I noticed you went to previous page, whatever that is. Yeah. And so it's not even AI. It's just you identifying data on the back end and pulling it in as text into the widget. So,
but it's creating that customized experience, right? And driving that sales is driving that kind of close to the sales, right? And a good salesperson will do this, right? What they'll do is they'll listen to a customer and they'll feed that information back to a client, to that customer. as they're going through the sales process, right? I noticed you were interested in our bathroom renovation services. Is there something specific we can help you with today, right? And that's going to go. I mean, it might be a little bit creepy for people to start with to go, "How the hell did you know that?" But it's help. Ultimately, we've got this inherent drive as humanity to make our life easier. Right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have tools. We wouldn't have invented ChatGPT. We wouldn't have cars, all that sort of stuff, right? Remote controls for the TV, which is like literally 3 or 4 paces away to change the volume, right? We have this inherent drive to make our life easier and get to the outcome quicker. And doing these sort of things, whilst it might be a little bit scary at first, is going to give you an edge over your competitors if you can provide a more personalized experience, right? Mm-hmm. So if it says, "Hey, Tim," and I go, "How did you know my name? I saw you're interested in plumbing. Yeah, which of these things can we help you with?" And anticipate and feed that back to clients. It's just creating that feedback loop that ultimately makes that customer experience better, and makes you stand out from your competitors. That rule, I don't have to run faster than the lion. I just need to run faster than you, right? We don't need to be on the cutting edge of absolutely everything. We just need to provide a better experience than what our competition is doing.
Yeah. So speaking of standing out from your competitors, I've been eager to ask you this question, Tim, because I obviously I know the background, I know what you do. This question is about selling services, selling systems for businesses, and in the community you've got a varied range of people selling high level for like peanuts, and people that are selling it for big ticket, and I know you are one of them. Are you keen to spill the beans? Tell us a little bit more about your recent successes. What's been happening?
Well, look, let's get some context, I guess, for people. I have been in digital marketing now for 28 years, which is a while. I spent most of the late noughties and 90s running social media sites and teaching other marketing agencies what digital marketing was. And the biggest gap that I found in most clients' businesses was in lead management. It wasn't in lead generation, right? There's a ton of marketing agencies out there who do this to this day, still, promise 1,000 odd leads a second. I can't get out of my Facebook inbox without someone every single day saying, "I can get you 20 appointments a day or 30 appointments a day," or, and I'm reminded of that scene in Something About Mary, where he says, "Oh, you want to invest in my 6-minute abs program?" or 7-minute abs program. And Ben Stiller's character is, "Well, this is going to be fantastic until someone comes along with 6-minute abs." The guys is a serial killer and cuddling a body in a bag. So it's like, no, can't possibly have 6-minute abs. But the thing that was missing for me was lead management. Okay, and it was just churn and burn, constantly churn and burn. Right? And we know getting new clients is more expensive than keeping them. Right, so just build deeper relationships with people, and you'll close more deals.
Right.
You can imagine that, trying to sort of pick up your significant other and going out there and saying, "Hey, like, we should have 10 kids." And their names are Tom and Sally and Jemima and Fred and Tim Jr. and whatever else, right? And expecting a second date, right? It doesn't work like that, right? We know that there's only a very small percentage of the community, your buyers who are ready to buy right now. And so that's how I got into, the automation and the AI and lead management and CRM sort of space. What we're doing now, and it's taken a while to sort of realize this after maybe 1,000 odd implementations, is that we need to sort of come back and look at what is the end goal for our client. Okay, what does my client actually want? And it's not that they want a high-level instance, right? Because just buying high-level actually makes your life harder.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Okay, just buying a CRM, and I could not tell you the number of times, right, that I've seen this, where people have bought CRMs because somebody somewhere told them in order to take the next level they needed a CRM system.
Then nothing happens when they get in it. It's just
and
overwhelming.
nothing happens, right? Because you get this thing and you say, well, this is taking more time, right? I've now got to take my notes out of my notebook that I had on my desk, and I've now got to copy them into another system again that I don't really use, right? It doesn't actually create any benefit for me. And so what we're doing a lot of now is actually looking at what is the end goal that a client wants, right? So what they actually want is to grow and scale their business. And HighLevel just becomes a part or a cog in that, in the same way that, just putting the system in, and I see a lot of this, right? If we're selling $97 instances of HighLevel or HubSpot or Keep or ActiveCampaign or, any others that are out there in the market, if we just give people a tool, it makes their life harder. If we give people a tool and the automation and the training and the leads and the strategy on how to use these things, it actually makes people's life easier, right? And it doesn't just become an expensive thing that we have in our business that pings our credit card every single month, and we look at the balance sheet and go, what the hell is this? What am I paying $100, $200, $500, $1,000 a month for if we don't use it? The same way to buying a car. Imagine buying a car, right? We spend lots on cars, right? We don't use them very much. We literally get in the morning and drive to work, and we get in the afternoon, we drive home, and the rest of the time it just sits around doing nothing.
Yeah.
Okay? Super expensive. But imagine how expensive would it be if you never learned to drive, or you didn't get insurance and registration, or you never learned how to put gas in the tank.
Yeah.
It'd be no use at all. Just sit in the driveway and be super expensive. And yet still people do that, right?
Yeah.
They keep them in the garage to look at and go, look at all my expensive cars. All right. But that's the comparison. And if we can kind of get to that point with a client to sort of start not talking about the technology, not getting like, oh my God, how cool is all this stuff that it does, right? Oh my God, we can manage your social media accounts from it, and you can create a membership, program, and we can capture all this data, and we can create custom fields and blah, 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 blah. Realistically, customer does not give a shit about any of that. What they want is they want to go from where they are to where they want to go to faster
where
than
they
they'd
need
be able
to
to
be.
do walking.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what we need. That's what we need to sell.
So to pause you there for a sec, I just wanted to add a little 2 cents on this. I just signed up a client last week, and I've got them on this bootcamp, right? And I'm like super excited about this opportunity and all these tools, right? And I'm talking about these tools and I'm showing them how to do these things. And then he goes around and like, dude, can I just pay you to do this? Like, and here's the kicker. He has worked with another agency with HighLevel that hasn't really, that he hasn't really seen any expertise. Like, even though this stuff that I'm excited about, I'm talking about, they don't give a shit about. But they still listen, they still see me like talking about it and being passionate and talking about like my expertise and how what I can do with it, and positioning myself as an expert. So then it's just natural for them to say, well, I don't give a shit about this. This is overwhelming, but I can see that you know your shit. Can I just pay you money to do this?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, think about this, right? There's 30,000 parts in your average sort of car, right? Let's not get into the fact that electric cars have fewer moving parts, but let's go with 30,000 parts in a car. Imagine sort of shipping 30,000 parts to a car to a client and say, off you go. Congratulations. Right? You go to any local Ford dealership and they wheel out a couple of trolleys with some, crates on it, all the parts, and you go, here's some instructions. It's partially assembled.
Also, I wouldn't mind it if I had absolutely fuck all to do. That would be like a fun little hobby.
It would be awesome.
People buy that too. I mean, they buy
do.
dressers that aren't assembled, right? But they know they're buying it. They're adopting into the idea that they have to build it, right?
Yeah. Okay. But I tell you what, the number of people who buy, partially assembled things compared to completely assembled things, very freaking small. Okay. But that's the comparison. We're giving people an incredible tool set with GHL, but not showing them how to put it together and going, you need to go and learn how to build this car yourself. We're not even giving them the instructions on how to put it together. Right? They don't know how to build automation, so the automation tends to be like a single trigger, a single action, which saves them no time at all. So the goal for clients when they build, when they get CRM things and And, when we look at companies who kind of implement it properly and achieve that scale that they're kind of really looking for, it's not single trigger, single automation, single action. There's multiple things going on, as you talked about before, Vic, right? Here's the anticipatory, copy that we're using ChatGPT for, or some of the other AI tools out there. It's actually making my life easy. So, if you were giving you a tool that's, in theory, going to completely change your workflow and how you do stuff and will make your life harder, what I need to do is be able to give you tools and or systems that are pre-configured in that take away some of that pain and make your life easy. Okay. And the goal is not like more clients, more effort, right? The goal is more clients, less effort, which is why I name my podcast that.
I actually thought
that's
I was
your
reading
podcast.
that name.
Nice. I like it.
Really good name, yeah. Actually, I was checking it out, like to see where am I getting released, but
we do, right?
no, the name is-
we're going to fight, and this is the reason I think that most businesses never get past $1 million, right? In US, Australia's the same, and I imagine Europe has very similar statistics. And only 4% of businesses ever make it past that magic $1 million in revenue, right? 0.4% only ever make it past 10 million. Right, into 8-figure businesses, and even fewer get to 9. Yeah, and there's still, mind you, out of all the businesses in the world, right, that's still a lot. Right, we're still talking hundreds of thousands of 8-figure businesses and millions of 7-figure businesses, but we're talking like an absolute shit ton of people who never make it to 7 figures. And I believe one of the key reasons for that is that as we scale, as we grow, we just add more and more and more work onto ourselves until such time as we burn out and we go, no, fuck, this is ridiculous. This is just hard work, right? This lifestyle that I dreamed of as an entrepreneur, that I was sold about how amazing it is, and I can get an incredible yacht and, fast cars and, not work and blah, blah, blah. No, it's all rubbish, okay? As we grow our businesses, it takes more, and we've only got so much time in the day to give if we want to keep all the other shit working as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure. I mean, like, for example, I was running my marketing agency just fine. No employees, just me making really good money. Started ChatHQ. I really didn't have the time to do that anymore because I didn't look at it the way I'm like a lot of people are looking at it. Like, oh, I'm just going to jump in here, hire a bunch of people, scale it. I'll move on to the next thing. I was like, this is like a lifestyle business for me, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. I'm enjoying it. I get to golf and enjoy like time with my wife and all kinds of stuff. And, when I started ChatHQ, it was very much the opposite, right? Not a lot of money coming in, a lot of hours. And so you kind of got to choose, like, what do I do? So people don't realize that when they just see dollar signs, right? And it's easy for a lot of people to coach this because they've done it the right way, and all people see is a success, right? And so, well, what was the turmoil? Like, how did you feel emotionally at midnight when you felt like you were going to lose customers and you didn't know how you're going to pay your mortgage? Like, sure, it's 4 years later, or even just 6 months later, you're in the position you're in now. But what was that moment like, and who's actually going to push through that?
Man,
right?
I've been there.
It's thumbs up. Why is my camera doing thumbs up?
It's fucked. Right, that being in that position is fucked. And it's even worse when you've got, you've got payday the next day, for your team, and then you suddenly realize that a client hasn't paid, and you were relying on that to actually have enough money to come in to actually pay your team as well. It's not a good position to be in, right? Super stressful. And you can understand why people go, no, fuck this, I'm out, right? And we have this, this failure rate of businesses in the first 5 years. It's not that these businesses necessarily fail. People just wake up to the reality of actually running a small business and go, I don't want to keep doing this, right? This is just freaking crazy.
Yep. A lot of people could just be well enough just getting a job, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
not me.
I mean, it's pretty harsh advice, but I've done a ton of consultations with people where I've just gone, what you're doing will not get to your dreams,
Right.
in the way you think it will. If you are the person sticking Diamantes onto cushion covers and thinking that you're going to make this $1 million business, it won't happen. Right? I actually had a call with a lady just this week, and she's making about 120K a year, and she's gone, I want to retire my husband in the next 3 years, right? I want to, so that he doesn't have to work anymore, right? He's on a 250K, right? So a pretty reasonable sort of salary in anyone's book, right? 250K is not bad money. And we just sort of start unpacking a business a bit, and I'm doing some numbers in my head as she's saying, can you help me grow it? And I'm like, the only way we can possibly do this with your current business model is if you were working 60 hours a week, right? 60 to 70 hours a week. That would, because you're doing it yourself. You're the person that gives all the advice. And I'm like, this seems to be, I don't know about you, in certain name, let's call her Sarah for argument's sake. It wasn't Sarah, but I'll call her Sarah. I don't know about you, Sarah, but it would seem kind of contrary to the, objective of spending time together if your husband's retiring, but you're now taking your part-time job
Taking on all of it.
60 hours a week, right? So he's going to be sitting there at home, having a great old time. You're going to be working nonstop. So, if we're going to look to how we scale your business model fundamentally needs to change. Right? Because it doesn't, we won't get you to where you think you want to go.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think people lose sight of that. They just go, again, we're not sort of thinking in advance of what would happen if I did this. I think that the interesting question I like to ask people, and I'm sure you guys do the same. If I was to give you 100 customers today, for whatever reason, okay, let's not worry about the cost of acquisition. Just say 100 people turned up at your doorstep magically and said, I want to buy from you right now. Okay. And if I don't buy today, I'm walking away. Let's do the reverse. Here's my money. Take it. I want to start tomorrow. I want to start working with you today. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Could you do it?
I think I could, but it would involve embracing a little bit of chaos. Whilst $497 plan and a high level, you can, spin up automatic accounts and all that. And I do have a whole bunch of things in my systems built in that onboard clients and all that. It would still require embracing a bit of a chaos, and that being especially in hiring team really quickly and training people out really quickly.
Don't even do that. Just go get Extendly support. Shout out to Extendly. Okay. Go get Extendly support and onboarding and manage customer success. That's all you got to do. Right. So people are going to be, and I'll tell you just from ChatHQ's perspective, right? You're always going to fail at meeting certain expectations, even if those expectations are low. Sometimes I focus on product and marketing and things, and I fail at getting customer support done. Right. And the people are disgruntled, but their expectations are low. They're like, I just had one ticket and I just wanted it answered. So having this sense of perfection is never good. But if you have this sense of progression where you're starting here, you have to get to here, and some way or another, you're going to get there. And there's going to be failures and successes along the way. Let's say we have 100 customers and the goal is to keep those 100 customers for the first month. Some are going to leave, but the goal is to put the blocks, like the foundations in place to retain as many as you can over that 30 days. Right. So like stressing yourself out and going crazy over like, oh, I need to keep all 100 customers is probably going to lose you more customers. Oh, we dropped off.
I'm back.
Oh, welcome back, Tim.
I reapplied
Sorry, guys.
that like second skin, that stuff that like heals your tattoo. I like reapplied it because it fell off and my skin's like really raw.
New tattoo, right? You got your tattoo a couple of days back, yeah? So it's still adjusting.
Yeah, a week ago Thursday. So like 6
hey, this
days
is
ago.
funny, Tim. You lost your spot. You were up the top, and now you're like, I've got like the screen, right? And like I can see all three of us, and like two of us are up the top.
Zoom, you can move people around. I was
yeah.
actually thinking I might get myself my first tat over Christmas, Andrew.
Nice, dude. What are you thinking about?
I've actually got this. I want to do these 3 koi.
Yeah.
So I found some I actually like because most of them look fucking horrible, to be honest. But
Yeah. So are you into that like Chinese or like Japanese style tattooing where it's like opaque and not super realistic?
yeah, it's sort of a bit more watercolory.
Yeah, so like
so
this.
I'll
Like
kind of do.
this, like this dragon it's like a lot of like filler colors and things like that. That's like a lot of koi look like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll do
Yeah,
a
what's
bit of
koi?
that. But
Koi fish,
koi is a
big
fish.
goldfish. Yeah.
Ah, right.
Giant goldfish,
giant
basically.
giant goldfish.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I spent 25 years doing sort of Chinese and Japanese martial arts. So
Oh, nice.
so
Which
kind
art
of a little bit,
or arts?
a little bit of a lot of kempo.
Mhm.
So which is sort of combination of different styles. So Chinese kempo, not Japanese kempo.
Mhm.
But did a bit of Muay Thai and kick and Taekwondo and stuff as well, and some Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu. So
Nice. How old are you, Tim?
50.
You do not look 50. That's when you said like
Well,
20 something years of marketing. I was like, damn,
Man,
So-
I'm well pickled.
yeah, man. No, I actually have a black belt in it's traditional Taekwondo, but I trained under a grandmaster and he was not a fan of traditional Taekwondo. So he basically just made us go through all the testing stuff that was Taekwondo, like all
Yeah.
the movements. And then we just trained his own. He was like a 7th degree in what was it? He was a 9th degree in Taekwondo. He was a 8th degree in Kumdo. No. He was a 7th degree in Kumdo, 7th degree in Hapkido, and like a 5th degree in what the fuck? Kempo. Or not Kempo, what's sword? Sword is
Kendo.
Kendo, right?
Kendo.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, bamboo
So he
swords.
was that.
Yeah, that's an
4
insane style. That's an insane thing. That's just like, holy
Yeah.
shit, these guys are
Yeah.
nuts.
So it's cool.
Hey, speaking of goldfish, I was gonna have a bit of a segue. You know, like with goldfish, like isn't it meant to be like something to do with luck, like good luck when you have a goldfish?
They are
or like
goldfish.
Right.
She's not using
so.
goldfish.
Speaking of goldfish and good luck and making things better, Tim, given your expertise, how do you leverage high levels?
It's a good try, dude. It's a really good try.
That was a natural segue there, right? That's perfect.
Yeah.
How do you
So
how do you leverage high levels features to optimize your your clients' business processes and like are there any like recent updates or tools in high level that you found particularly game changing?
not particularly game changing. Look, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. I liken putting in a good CRM. It's a bit like putting together a basketball team, right? And if you're going to win the
Do explain.
championship, I'm going to go. Look, just bear with me for a sec, right? There's some fundamentals, right? And there's a whole bunch of different CRMs that are out there, right? So, for example, I've been talking to a bunch of people lately who are on Kajabi and they're like, fuck, you're never taking me off Kajabi because that's the be all and end all of everything.
Right.
I'm going, you do realize that Kajabi is not actually a CRM system, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't really do the fundamentals of customer relationship management. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually like to spin it a bit and call it contact relationship management because you want to put all your contacts, right?
Mhm.
Staff, suppliers, strategic partners, prospects, customers. And so it's not just customer relationship management, right? It's really relationship management tools. But it's a bit like a basketball team. Okay. Now, high level has got a big bench of players as well. But if you've only got one like world-class player on your team, right? Say a LeBron or a Kobe or a Steph, whatever. You'll be okay, but you'll probably lose most games, right? But I want to go, watch out for that guy, right? If you've got 2, you're going to be pretty good. right? But still, you'll probably end up in the bottom part of the draw. If you've got 3 world-class players on your team, you're going to be really competitive. You're going to be hard to beat on your night, right? If you've got 4, you're conference finalists. If you've got 5 really good players, right, you're practically unbeatable, right? But your 5 players can't play every minute of every single game. They've got to have some handy bench players as well. Okay, so we think about a CRM in that context, right? There's a couple of things that it has to do really well. If it doesn't have a really robust CRM that allows us to configure custom fields and create and capture information that's useful to us, if that information is difficult to get to and get out of, that is not a world-class player. Okay, it's not our LeBron. That has to be number one. If I don't have a really good CRM system, the rest is kind of pointless, right? Your second one is got to be, right, the automation. If I can do a little bit of automation, I'm probably a handy bench player. If I've got some really awesome tools, integrated with other systems, right, with ChatGPT, whatever, if I can control the automation, if I've got some really good workflow builders, right, that becomes a world-class player. Better than your opponents, right? So, Keep for such a long time, as confusing as it was for people, and still is to this day, its automation builder is like absolutely freaking incredible. I can do some shit in that I cannot replicate in any other system, right, in terms of data manipulation. Okay, it's really, really good. HighLevel, also really good in that space, right? But then you've got other things like your bench players are stuff that we're probably not going to use as often, right? So let's look at, say, the social media planner in GHL, right? It's not as good as Buffer. It's not as good as Hootsuite, right? Not as good as dedicated tools like, SmarterQ. But, and I'm probably, that's the use case for it. Not everyone's going to use it. Handy bench player occasionally, right? Pipeline management tool, visual pipeline tool. Pretty good. Maybe not as good as Pipedrive, but pretty damn good. Okay? It's a handy starting player on my team. And if we look at what do we need to grow my business, there's probably some really core stuff. I need a really good CRM. I need some fantastic automation tools, and I really need a good pipeline, right? I need to be able to integrate with other systems, right? And I need to be able to take money. To me, those are, probably your 5 core players, right? HighLevel, and I think one of the reasons it's become so, it's got so much traction over the last 4 or 5 years since it was introduced, is because it does those things, not necessarily the best in the world, but they're pretty bloody good, And then it's got a bunch of other stuff
Yeah, now
that
they
you
are.
may or may not use depending on your particular business circumstances.
Yeah. I guess I was listening to that analogy and I was sitting there going, HighLevel seems like the team that like makes the finals in the 8th seed, right? Because they're just like, they have a lot of like good players, but no superstar, but they just work really well together,
Yeah.
But like, that's just my perspective, but I like the analogy, but I love HighLevel, but they preach this skateboard method, right? MVP style. They, my co-founder just said a term that is actually a term. Apparently, it's the squeaky wheel development, and it's the things that people complain about the most are going to get the attention, right? Which is genius because then you don't have to do anything until it gets to a certain point, and then you're like, okay, we're on it, and we'll fix it, right? So you have a
Pros and
roadmap, you
cons.
have a vision, yeah, you have a vision, you have a roadmap and stuff. But the idea is like, hey, you don't like this thing, all right, get another 1,000 people to agree with you, and then we'll go fix it, right? So, yeah, no, I agree. I like that analogy. I like where you're going with that. Speaking of segues, and speaking of martial arts and transformations,
Where's this going to go now?
transformations. So hey, listen, we actually have a segment on this that I don't think we're going to do on this one because we haven't really like started procuring success stories, right? But something we want to ask you is about your customer success stories. So do you have any like a couple of like dramatic transformations, which is where that segue comes, that you've helped facilitate, right? That you've been kind of like the coach on, or like your customers have come through you and transformed their business, any particularly that are memorable?
Yeah, one I'm actually just firing, believe it or not.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, funny story. Right. I've taken them as far as they can go until they change a few other things in their business. But this is an IT company that probably for 10 years have been stagnating around 600, 700,000 in business, right? And I recall when I first started working with them, there was a couple of things I guess just missing in their business fundamentally. They had a team of 4, husband, wife, are the owners, and then sales rep in Hong Kong, and an EA in the Philippines, and a bunch of contractors to come in and do different jobs. And I recall it was really weird because they had never had any kind of sales meeting cadence. First up, right? So no one was talking about what sales they were going after or anything. And so one of the first things we did with them was to put in a CRM so we actually had visibility of what their pipeline was like, right? And which deals we're actually chasing. And it became really obvious that they were probably, whilst they were kind of making revenue, there were a whole bunch of deals in the pipeline. Once you actually get video, and the great thing about visual pipeline, you start to get visibility of what you're actually working on. There are a whole bunch of deals that they were actually not making profit on, right? They were closing them, churning revenue, but not actually making profit. And one in particular I recall having this conversation with their sales rep about was to put on an antenna onto a caravan. And I think they were charging the client like $1,200 or $1,300. Okay. Raw material cost was $800 or something. Okay, so the product cost was about $800. They were going to charge about $1,200. Okay, so not a huge amount of margin in the deal in the first place. But this guy had spent something like 6 or 7 hours going back and forth on proposals with this bloke. And I'm going, do you realize you're actually not making money on this deal? And he's like, no, but I'm going to close it. I'm going, no, you're not. We're going to walk away from this one right now.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think when you sort of look at these fundamentals, right? So, business success comes from a bunch of things. Now, I'm not a business coach, right? Obviously, there's a lot of overlap in consulting, and you do tend to pick up a lot when we've worked with a lot of businesses. But there's some fundamentals, right? If you don't have visibility of what's happening in your pipeline, if you're not organized with your customers and what deals you're working on, you will lose money on them, right? A, because you won't be responsive enough, and B, because you won't be able to track how much time you're investing into actually getting that deal in the first place, right? So just doing that one little thing, right? Just putting in a regular meeting cadence that they've never run. They've never run a team meeting in 10 years.
Yeah.
Just putting in a meeting cadence to say, what are you working on this week? What do you need help with? Right? And noticing what roadblocks kept coming up and assigning those to someone to deal with. And then putting in a CRM that not only captured their customers and allowed them to communicate to them more regularly, but there's your little thumbs up again.
I was like itching my arm, and it's like, thumbs up.
What is that? What is that tool?
I don't know, man.
But being able to get
That's
visibility and talk about what deals they're chasing actually changed their stuff. And we moved them, we positioned them a little bit differently in terms of what size deals they were after. But it moved them in 12 months from, stagnating at, let's call it 650, 700,000 to 1.15 in under 12 months. Just that one thing.
What is that?
Right.
30%
50,
growth?
52%. 50 was a 52% increase in 12 months.
Right, yeah. Wow, that's impressive. And so all it took was just optimizing that sales process. Or not even that, just optimizing.
Not even optimizing it. All right. Just actually going, let's actually have a look at your sales process and where shit's up to.
Yeah.
Right. And I think people don't look at that. We know as salespeople, there's a couple of things that are transformative, right? Speed to lead, right? How quickly can we respond? And I love, GHL's sort of miscalled tech stack for that sort of stuff, and using automation to respond to incoming inquiry quickly and set expectations about how quickly you're going to respond to people. We'll get back to you in 2 business days. And if you don't do something, it says, sorry, we've been held up. We will be with you shortly.
I mean, ultimately, it's amazing if you can improve even by like a small percentage, 10%, right? Speed to lead, 10%. Speed to sale, 10%, making it less cumbersome for somebody to actually make the transaction. Speed to fulfillment, speed to completion, right? It's incredible what it can do, right? To any profit line.
Yeah. So those sorts of things, I think, really transformative. Just getting organized, right? Getting visibility of what it is that you're working on and who your people are, and then building on top of that. The number of people I know that we build. It's one of the sort of things we do kind of regularly as strategic partners, right? And as a channel to market, particularly for agencies, right? What we know about agencies is that 80% of your business generally comes via referral for agencies, under $1 million. And over $1 million, 80% comes from referrals and strategic partners, right? So just having an automation that says you need to touch base with this person in some capacity on a regular basis. So just literally building a loop that says, "Oi, time to reach out to Vit, time to reach out to Andrew, time to reach out to Vit again, time to reach out to Vit," right? To prompt you means that those relationships that you're trying to cultivate are more likely to come to fruition and actually, return dividends both ways. Again,
100%.
It's like your girlfriend. If you don't call her for several months, right, she's going to go and find someone else.
It's not your girlfriend anymore, right?
She's not your girlfriend anymore. Right? So we can use these tools that we have at our disposal to kind of almost force us into the habit of building relationships. And business isn't, that complicated. The more relationships you have, the more likely you are to succeed. And so what is the fundamentals of driving relationships? Right? So, my B&I group, it's anyone who comes as a client from my B&I group, I'm just like, literally, we're building a little B&I referral management automation that literally prompts you and sends you a text to say, it's time to reach out to Andrew again. Here's his phone number. Now, if I've spoken to Andrew, if I'd spoken to you today, I'd just ignore the message. But if I haven't, if I go, oh shit, it's been a couple of weeks since I spoke to you, I literally, dial, bro, just checking in. How's things, man?
Right.
Okay. And I'm building relationship. And if I'm looking to get referrals from Andrew or give them, the more I touch base, the more I control the cadence of the relationship, the more likely that relationship is to actually, come to fruition and actually be valuable to me.
Yeah,
and to Andrew as well.
I feel like some agencies, maybe particularly newer agencies, or like people that are newer into entrepreneurship, or kind of like this small business type of relationship building in general, they're probably very afraid to pick up that phone. Like if I interact, will I need to do more, or will I unearth things that are not going well, right? Whereas you should always be searching for that next thing either to do or to fix, and have a proper channel in the back end of that call to funnel it through. So it's like, hey, Tim, how you doing? Like, how's everything going? Oh, things are not going great. We need this. Okay, well, here, go schedule a call with me. We'll get you on the thing, or go schedule a call with my team, right? But most people are like,
it's not that, even if it's someone else, and say, hey, look, we can't fix that, but I know a guy.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So then you're referring, and yeah, I'm just saying, like, I think there's a lot of fear and anxiety in business, right? Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, type of thing.
Oh, no,
Whereas you should always be ahead.
We want to look for stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not always just the squeaky wheel that needs fixing. It's sometimes I need to go and look at things and go, how can I do this better? And that's the thing about entrepreneurship, right? We're constantly looking at ways that we can improve what it is we're doing. I was thinking another one that I've been working with for quite a few years now is a medical imaging company. And, they're 400 odd staff. They've got 30 or 40 different outlets, But how medical imaging works is they have referring doctors. You can't just walk in and get an X-ray or an MRI. You have to have a referral from somebody. And so the relationship side of that is so critically important that because otherwise your doctor's going to pick up a referral pad for another medical imaging joint, right? Because it's not like they're unique. And at that moment that doctor pulls the pad up and says, go to, XYZ imaging, right? Your end consumer, which is ultimately the paying client, is going to go to XYZ imaging because that's what it says on the top of the referral slip. And that's, the phone number there and stuff like that. And so we had, we built some automation for these guys as well, where literally it was a responsibility for one person to manage the relationships with 9,000 referring doctors. Right?
That's a lot of doctors.
You can imagine, it's a lot of doctors, right? You can imagine how ridiculous that task is. And so he's before building some automation in for his business, he's literally just on the phone firefighting the whole time. He's just responding to whoever picks up, calls him and says, this is shit. I'm waiting for that. Right. No problem, sir. I'll get, doctor, I'll get that sorted out for you. And so same sort of, concept as the B&I one, right? We've built an automation that does proactive outreach, right? It has we built an onboarding sequence in doctors. So how it is an admin team now onboard 30 to 40 new doctors every single week as they, requesting stuff, and they're getting, sent welcome packs and gifts and follow-ups and phone calls and text messages and stuff like that to kind of onboard them to this, this company, this medical imaging company now, and set some expectations around how they work. And of course, no one else is doing the same thing. None of the other competitors are doing the same thing. So they're going, well, these guys seem really freaking organized. I'm going to work with them.
Yeah.
Because, rather than this other mob, because, I want my customers to my patients to have a good experience. So I'm definitely using them. But periodically throughout the year, we also invite them to events and do outreach and check in and say, hey, is there anything you need? I know you must be running short of referral pads, so here's some more, all that sort of stuff. And it's made a massive difference. We were actually tracking Net Promoter Score, right? Their Net Promoter Score was like 2.5.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? It's actually jumped up to like almost 8 now. So not really not quite where we want it yet, but massive difference in terms of massive difference from 2.5. Like where people are like, I don't like this experience. This is really ordinary. This is very average. But now, we're on average, we're like, holy crap. So, the response that we're getting in is like, thanks for that. That was amazing. I really appreciate you reaching out. Thanks for the invitation. So, the dialogue and the relationship with those customers, there's still only one guy managing those relationships.
Yeah.
Which is, as a result of
it makes it a lot easier
the
using
amount of business
HighLevel,
coming
right?
in is massive. Yeah.
But like one guy, and he's using HighLevel, or obviously there's other CRMs, but specifically here HighLevel, and it makes that job for the one person significantly easier. Right? It's automation. Use automation. I think that's huge, right? So
100%. I think the main name of the game here is leverage. How can we leverage an activity from somebody, take over some of the things, make it less manual, make it more automated? I mean, the big thing that, that always stuck with me first time we met way back, and that was another group, BX, was the thing that you always kept drilling into all of our heads, and it was stay top of mind, stay top of mind. And those little things, this. And it's so true, because you never know, like from somebody that you've met a while back, could become, you could become your next 3 big clients, just by, reaching out and hey, how you going?
Well, right? Just to give a more sort of closer to home example from that vid, just that staying top of mind, constantly touching base with everyone, using automation to create that leverage, right? And we have both, automated communication going to clients, but we have automated internal workflow where it's appropriate, right? We don't just want to automate for automation's sake. Actually, so, AI, for example, still can't go and like someone's post or share someone's post.
Yeah. Not yet.
Okay. Who's a partner or a client. yet.
Yeah.
Yet. I'm sure someone's working on that. But that can't be done, right? So that has to be a task that's given to somebody to go and do that thing, or let me know when we make the phone call to go and check their social media and see that their son's gotten married or graduated from high school. And so the phone call from me is now, hey, look, congratulations, right? Saw your son graduated from high school. That's amazing. You must be really proud, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that touched on a good point of human, like between humans and automation or just AI in general is like context, right?
Yeah.
Like AI doesn't always have all the context because it only has the context that you give it or that is fed to it in some way, right? Which is the same with humans. Like you need to be able to see it or read it or something, but like a human scrolling through a Facebook feed, like the ability to block out 100 different things and pinpoint that, oh, my customer's son or daughter just graduated from college. You remember that, and then you go use that context in a conversation. Like it's not, you can't just accumulate all that data, not yet, with AI, right? It's just not, I don't even think I truly believe that's something that's not going to happen, is the procurement of data at a massive scale through things like social media, because I think there's going to be a lot of like protections that Facebook and those other platforms force. So you can't just like take ChatGPT and do that. Maybe AI through Facebook will have that capability or something, but just like dropping ChatGPT in Facebook, it's like a security risk on the highest scale, so
yeah. But that's the kind of thing, right? I think when we stay top of mind, we have contextual relationships. When we automate the stuff that either needs immediate response and a human is sleeping, right? Because let's be real, right? Your automation it works 24/7. I can't imagine buying movie tickets and then not having automation deliver them, for example.
Right.
Waiting for someone to come in the next day and, oh, I saw you bought some tickets last night. Here they are. It's like, yeah, but it was for last night's matinee, right?
And bring you back a popcorn as well, right?
All right. You can't do that, right? So it either needs to be really timely, it needs to be transactional, right? So it's happening a lot, right? And that's a great case for automation, right? Passing data between systems is a really key one. Following up on stuff, right?
Yeah.
Things that happen 1,000 times a second need to be automated, right? Otherwise, it's just too slow. But not where we've got, where I need to create a deeper connection, a deeper human connection. That's the stuff that needs to be in your workflow, but created as a task so that it's systemized, but not automated. Right. I think it's a pretty key sort of thing, right? And just to sort of draw that out
between those two, systems and processes as opposed to automation, right?
That's right, because I want to be able to sort of just plug anybody into that and go, when this thing pops up, you follow the instructions in that task.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is what's going to happen afterwards, when you do that sort of thing. But for me, it's, I was just sharing before you jumped on, Andrew, that, just that really simple automation to stay top of mind has helped me sign, pretty close to $500,000 business in December so far.
Nice. That's fantastic.
I'm on a good run. It's a good Christmas present.
Yeah.
I haven't got all the cash yet, but, but that's the kind of thing that doing this allows you to create leverage and scale doing.
Yeah, for sure. On that note, what are like the tools, resources, and books, like if any? I don't know if you're an avid reader, but like, what would you recommend to our listeners? Right, so like closing $500,000 in new business in December. Clearly, you've been on this type of path, or you've had this journey for a while now. Outside of the obvious, like HighLevel, and you can even touch on like parts of HighLevel, right? Like what parts of HighLevel would you say are the most key, or that you'd recommend? But like other tools, resources, and like books and whatnot.
Templates.
Templates.
Snapshots.
Oh, look. Snapshots. Yeah, you definitely have to get on the profit roadmap system. That's
Oh, what's that?
There you go, Vid.
It's the plug. ChatHQ profit roadmap system.
That's the plug. Do I So if any affiliate commissions out of this particular episode, you can send to. Look, in terms of reading, I think one of the things that one of the books that I think almost every business owner should read is 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss.
Got it right
And
there.
I remember reading that.
Bookshelf.
Yeah, I remember reading that years and years ago now. And it wasn't that, I mean, even some of the, he goes into sort of drop shipping and all sorts of different stuff.
Right. Things at the time that were
in
like
that, right?
incredibly popular and
Yeah,
now
it was
not
like,
so
yeah,
much.
this was sort of just amazing. But, underpinning that is this sort of fundamental message that as entrepreneurs, we should not be designing our lifestyle around our work. We want to design our work around our lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's
and that
got
was
me
a
in
really
some
sort of,
trouble. That's got me in some trouble.
Yeah,
over the
it can
years.
do. It can do. But
I mean,
look,
it's
we're
the
doing
best.
these.
I wouldn't go away from it, but it's yeah.
Right. But we're doing these things, ultimately we're doing this stuff to create a lifestyle that we want. Right. And that's the great thing about being a business owner. You can do whatever the hell you want to do.
Yep.
Right. With whoever you want to do it. If you don't like someone, you can tell them to fuck off. Right. If you're doing it well, you potentially got, freedom of location and time and whatever, right? We have choice. And unlike all of our friends who are, unlike, all of our friends who are employees, right? We can go and create whatever income we want.
I was just talking about that this week to a mate of mine, how like running business, it's a grind, and you're on your own, like it's your own responsibility. And like how, say my wife, she's been like, hey, you know what, like you could totally get a job in like a corporate, and you could definitely get into some sort of a management role, and you could, make good salary. And I was telling my mate, because he was like, yeah, bro, like why don't you do that? I'm like, well, look, I mean, you could, and you'd have, secured income, and you'd work this much hours, and then you can go home, and that's it. You don't have to do stuff. But to get to higher income earning opportunities, you just got to keep on climbing that ladder, and the further up you go, more responsibilities you have anyway. But the main thing is, like with being an employee, you're always going to be required to be at certain location at certain time, and there's no flexibility. With business, you can achieve it. I mean, it's not going to happen at the beginning. It's going to be the fucking grind, but when you can, it's amazing what you can do.
I would even challenge that notion that you have a secure income. There is no security
employment.
Actually, if you're
right.
if you're a 10-year teacher or something, right? But then your income's shit, anyways. But the thing is like something that always comes out when I preach this, like in conversation, is if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he eats for the rest of his life, right? Or man or woman, right?
Yeah.
It's the old whatever proverb.
It's a very
So the
biblical
concept, very right. So the concept here is like you could go get a job. You could go get a job. You could have a salary. You could be super cushy and cozy and work 9 to 5, have your weekends, whatever. But if you learn how to make money yourself, you'll never be broke. It doesn't matter what you're doing because you have the initiative and you have the drive and you have the understanding of how you can apply yourself to different things. Even getting a job, your business could go under, and you have this different mentality. Some people some people lose their job if they're corporate and they go to this like depression. And I know it happens to self-employed entrepreneurs as well, but they don't have this sense of like pulling themselves back up and going and getting money again. Whereas entrepreneurs, we're always failing. We're constantly failing. So it's like you're constantly trying to figure out what is the next thing I can do to make sure that I have money or scale what I'm doing. So I don't know. That's what why I've always denied people like saying, oh, why don't you just go get a job? And you could probably be, making 6 figures. And it's like, yeah, I could. But to me, that's the end of the road. If nothing else works for me, then I go and say, hey, sir, ma'am, give me a job. Right.
Yeah. I was watching Ramit Sethi's sort of, How to Be Rich sort of series he did on telly recently. Read his book. And one of the sort of key messages that he talks about in that is, whatever you do, make sure that you live your rich life, whatever that looks like for you. And I think, when you have the bug, when you've caught this entrepreneurial bug, that is your rich life.
Right.
By far, right? That freedom of choice and opportunity is incredible. Probably two others, I think, that if I had to pick two other books that I'd throw out there that I've found really powerful, E-Myth, Michael Gerber.
Yep.
Amazing. And again, a lot about assess why you systemize your business and where you come from. We see so many business owners come in as technicians and get stuck.
Mm.
And you need these different skills to go, okay, maybe I need to take one hat off and put a different one on. Certainly for me, as good as I am at building automations and workflows and kind of all the integrations between different systems and whatnot with Make and Zapier and this, that, and the other thing, for me, that I think the thing that I've realized that I need to do to scale is get the hell out of the way.
Mm.
Right? I've got to stop being the bottleneck. And that's something we all need to sort of take a good hard look at in our business and going, what is the thing that I can do that gives me the most leverage? Not necessarily the thing that I'm best at in my business. What is the thing that I can do that gives me the most leverage in achieving that lifestyle that I want?
Right.
And I think a third one, I mean, there's a ton. Purple Cow was one of the first books I ever read, was just amazing from a marketing context. But one I've read
Who
recently,
wrote that one? Purple Cow?
Seth Godin.
Seth Godin.
It's just do something different from what everyone else is doing. Just be that little bit different, right? I used to distill that into same but different, right? Do something that's close enough to what people understand, right? But not so, but different enough that it stands out, but not so different that people go, I don't know what the fuck that is.
You think ChatGPT knows that term? Hey, ChatGPT, write me a blog that's like this one. Same, different. Same, different, or whatever that is. Yeah.
Might be. We'll have to try it. It's all over there. He'll test it out for us.
This is a good ending note for.
I was going to say Systemology by my good mate David Jennings. Systemology. Yeah, so David actually worked for a long time with Michael Gerber, and he's taken, I guess, the sort of the theoretical teachings in E-Myth and actually sort of put them into a model that says this is how you actually break it down and build and implement systems into your business, whether they be electronic systems that leverage HighLevel or whether they be process systems. Ultimately, when we look at what we are trying to do as business owners, is we are trying to move from own a job to own a business to potentially kind of own investments, right? We need to exit. So at some point, we need to exit from our business. And the value of what it is that we create only exists in those systems that are repeatable, predictable, and ultimately give us revenue at scale without us being involved. Because I could offer you two businesses right now. One of these businesses earns you $10 million a year, but requires you to work 60 hours a week with no holidays. Okay? The other one is worth $5 million, but you don't have to turn up to at all.
Yeah, 5 million. Easy.
Because it's systemized and procedure driven and it's predictable and, it's automated. One of these two businesses is worth more, and it's not the one that the higher revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a really
that's how we need to think about
this is interesting that you bring it up, Tim, because I spoke to a dude called Zach Allman on my other podcast, Success Inspired, and this is exactly what he does. He literally, he's started in banking. He's like this math guru, but he understands the numbers and literally he flips businesses. So he buys a business that is, very, low or next to nothing because it was fully reliant on the business owner. He integrates systems, HighLevel, things like that, and then suddenly he can 3x, 4x the value of the business in a short period of time. So it's interesting how some of these things sometimes happen in a short period of time. I just spoke to him last week. Now you're bringing it up. And what I wanted to say also, just on the ending note, because we did go wrap it up as well. I know you got to do stuff. I wanted to apologize because we haven't been speaking to you guys. To you guys, sort of speaking, us here having a chat. But I'm talking about you guys listening. You're still part of it, and we appreciate you. So we hope, me and Andrew, we really hope that you're finding value in this podcast. And if this is like a new journey to you, starting with HighLevel, if you're brand new to this and you're just trying to, if the whole reason for starting HighLevel is just you need to provide your family, make some income, do what you love. Like, there's a lot of really insights, really great insights from this interview. So make sure that you make notes. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Make sure you action those notes.
Yeah. Show up and take notes, or save the podcast and watch it.
And if whatever you're writing down to do, it's like high repetitive action, don't forget to automate it.
That's right. Automation, baby.
Anyway, we're gonna segue into our next episode, but I wanted to appreciate and thank you to you, Tim, for jumping on. It's been an honor to have you again, and share your wisdom and insights from what you do.
Yeah, it's nice meeting you, Tim. And listen, if you ever need another guest on your podcast, let me know, man. Love to join you.
We'll sort that out.
Sounds good.
If there is one final ending bit that you want to finish on with a punch, go at it. Is there anything you want to pitch? Is there anything you want to share?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think look, if you're listening to this, if you're listening to this and other episodes, you're into podcasts, right? You enjoy listening to them. Take one thing. Actually, this is something I learned from Entrepreneurs on Fire. What's the guy's name who does that one?
Jesus. You got me.
I know, I can't think of his name now. John Lee Dumas. Right now, he's done, like, he was doing a daily episode, right? So he's got like thousands and thousands of episodes. Oddly enough, not podcasting for as long as me. My first podcast was in 2001. I just didn't do them every single day. But anyway, great show, Entrepreneurs on Fire. But one of the things I recall that he was talking about is like that someone came on his show and says, we go to these conferences, we listen to these podcasts, and more often than not, we just walk away going, "Oh, that was a good 90 minutes I've just spent listening." Right? If you've taken notes, or if you're looking at the show notes, and pulled something out, just take one thing. Doesn't matter what that one thing is, and implement that into your business today. Right? And then pick another one thing tomorrow, and another one thing after that. Right? And it's not these. We often think that the big leaps come from these massive big rocks that we solve, but it's not, right? It's just these small things done repeatedly that make all the difference to what you're doing and where you're going.
Yeah, I love
Couldn't
that.
have said it better. Awesome. I love it.
One brick at a time, man.
One automated brick at a time.
One gear at a time. One AI avatar at a time.
Absolutely. So, Andrew, so once again, thank you, Tim, so much once again, mate. And we're going to segue into our next segment, which is called the Move the Needle. You're welcome to hang around, Tim, if you want. This segment is a short, quick segment. We call it Move the Needle, and it's all about really focused, one specific thing that's going to move the needle up. And I didn't consult this with you, Andrew, actually.
Did not. Yeah.
Congratulations. This is our new segment.
No, not the segment. The topic of the segment I didn't consult with is I wanted to talk about productizing your fulfillment with snapshots. Little, guilt-free plug.
Shameless plug. Yeah.
Shameless plug. Yeah.
So have at it, bro.
Strap in, entrepreneurs and growth gurus, for our Move the Needle segment, where we zoom in on one game-changing strategy, tactic, or tool designed to turbocharge your business trajectory, high-level style.
They say money can't buy happiness. Look at the fucking smile on my face.
It's just a good little segue from what we just wrapping up here with this interview with you, Tim, about, just focus on that one thing, and then when you've done it, then do the next thing. Ideally, you want to do something, and then once you've done it and move the next thing, you want that first thing to then do its thing on its own. That's the perfect use case being an automation. When you dial things in, now it's doing shit for you. It's moving that needle up in your business or your client's business. Then you move the next one. So what I want to talk about is, and I mean, it is a bit of a plug for my product, but it's more about a principle on how you should build snapshots and how they can really help you leverage fulfillment for your clients. So one of the things that I did with my agency is, instead of building like one big ass snapshot that I could kind of use for other clients and all clients, I broke it down into modules. I call it Profit Roadmap. So you got 10 different modules. The first one is called Essential, and Essential because it kind of levels up the core a setup that needs to happen. Any business needs to have for email marketing, right? So that's the Essential email marketing, a simple way to sign up people on a newsletter and automate the heck out of it. But once you got that going, and for your client, once you got that going, that is now a thing that's living on its own, and it's now improved that business. So then when you take the next snapshot, import that one, now you can accelerate that business in profitability even further. But the beauty of doing it in sort of this roadmap way, or this like modular way, say, is that each one of these is not just the setup, it's also the training, the learning curve, right? Because Tim, you said it perfectly. You got a system, great, but there's always going to be a human being on the end of it that's going to work with that system, right? So if you got a business, a client, a SaaS customer, on your HighLevel, one of the things you always need to consider is change management, right? What is it gonna, how big of a impact is any change going to make on that business? If you got a team of 10 employees in one's company, and then you come in across as a new partner in your new agency, spinning up these new automations, they're going to have to get used to them. They're going to have to learn how they use them. So there's going to be a learning curve, and bigger the impact it's going to make, like more learning curve there's going to be, longer the time it's going to take for them to fully dial things in, which increases, that's more risky, right? Sorry, I'm getting a little bit tired here because close to midnight, but you guys know what I'm trying to say, right?
Right.
So
Excuses.
it's just sorry, what?
Yeah, it's just excuses.
Excuses, right? Yeah, exactly. It's just my.
We are in different parts of the world, right? We're in the USEU.
I'm in Jacksonville, Florida.
There we go. Florida, Australia, and Czech Republic.
Yeah.
All
Well,
over.
it's tell you what. It's interesting how the human brain. I've been sitting at my computer since 7 a.m. So I'm just finding my brain is just no longer that snappy. But I'll wrap it up. Basically, guys, if you want to scale, if you're an agency, if you're not just a pure SaaS, if you're not just selling HighLevel on its own, and you shouldn't anyway, because that's just a tool and your client's never going to know what to do with it. You should always provide them with a system. If you're considering to go the path that's going to help you be more scalable and more, the word productized is what I want to memorize here, productized service, then definitely look at building snapshots in a modular way so that you can roadmap it out. You can show it to your client, present it to your client, and say, hey, we're going to fully automate, or we're going to improve your business with these systems that we've got, and it's going to take 12 months. And the reason why we do it over the course of 12 months is because we're going to build them in modules. We're going to install each module one at a time. We're going to do the setup. Then we're going to work with you and your team. We're going to train everybody. We're going to make sure that everybody is comfortable using it. And then when we see that you're dialed in, then we're going to do the next one. And with each next one, your business is going to get more optimized, more profitable. And what it's also doing ultimately for your agency is that it kind of takes away the whole, traditional agency keeps a client for 3 months on average type of thing. Well, now you've got them going for 12 months. So already you've extended the customer lifetime value, and because they're snapshots, and if you do them a particular way, like the way I've done them, is now you've got optimized delivery of them on your end to fulfill, to set them up. So now you know exactly what your costs are to set each one up. And because of that, now you can actually set a fixed price. So now when you're talking to a customer and you're selling them on the next thing, because we talked about it midway in the interview with you, Tim, right? Speed to lead was one thing, but speed to sale. There's nothing better when it comes to sales than presenting somebody with a product. Like, this is a thought out thing. This is a product thought out pricing. We're not going to be like, hey, I'm going to get back to you and present you with core. It's like, no, like, this is it. And because if they're already thinking about it right now, like, why would you delay it? Like, why would you not get that, take that payment, right? So
yeah, I would
that's
agree. I would agree. I think, automation agencies in general, CRM agencies, we tend to find that we sort of throw everything at a customer all at once, and they just can't digest it. Right. So just building them up little bit by little bit by little bit is actually far more effective in terms of adoption. Because we can go much faster than our clients can go.
100%. And
Yeah.
speaking of speed, guys, if you want to go and take the fast lane, head over to here's my shameless plug. Head over to vidmiller.com, and I have the profit roadmap laid out there. You can look at my premium high-level snapshots, and decide for yourself if it's worth taking the shorter route and just in buying a thing, or spending time to develop it yourself. Either way, but the first option is definitely going to give you a thing now, rather than having to, like what I did is, and I'm not kidding, like I built them over a year and a half, developing these systems, documented these systems to a point where I've got a ClickUp doc for each module that's got like 300 pages.
Mhm.
Every single asset, like what is this tag doing? What's the purpose of this tag? How does it get removed? I've got everything documented. I'm nuts. Like, this is not a regular human being type of thing to document
No,
like that. But
I've been through it, mate. It's not.
But now I've done it, and I've done it once, and now it's scalable, right? I'm selling it to other agencies. Everybody's benefiting, and they can pass it on to their VAs, and then VAs can quickly understand how to set it up. So, I mean, I'm big fan of leverage here. So that's kind of like why I did it. And that's it, guys.
Very
So that
cool.
was the Move the Needle segment. I hope that was valuable. This is how you move the needle. Modular snapshots. Build them, scale them, or buy them off me and take the fast route.
I like that. I like that route. It's a good route. Take the third one.
All right. So we don't have a 3 and 3, guys. That's the segment we mentioned in the previous episode. So we're gonna go into the finish line now. But before we go, Andrew, do you want to just give it a bit of a shout out about the 3 under 3 and just highlight that again, just so we can get some? I think you did a really good job last time.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember what I did last time, so I hope I don't miss the mark here. But basically, we want to showcase you guys. So if you're listening, we want to make sure that if you feel like you've had some success in HighLevel and you want to kind of tell the world about it, like, yeah, HighLevel's got a community for that. They got a Facebook group. That's great. Probably going to get buried. So sending us your 60-second segment of, how you feel like you succeeded with HighLevel and where you're heading to and all that fun stuff. We're going to showcase you on the podcast. We got 3 60-second segments every single episode. So you send us, go to highlevelexperience.com. We got a form there. You fill it out. You send us a video or an audio clip, preferably video.
A form, bro. Come on.
A form
Guys,
survey.
It's not just a form.
Yeah.
It's ChatHQ's engagement widget. If you want to check it out for
Hey.
real, it's the best engagement widget that's out there. So make sure you
I like
click
it.
that damn thing.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So it is
Hey,
built into the
Roger, I
ChatHQ
like that you
engagement widget.
like that you brought your sales guy with you.
Yeah. He's always working, man. It doesn't matter if it's 10, 12, 3 in the morning. So yeah, but if you guys, fill out that form, it's in the engagement widget on our website. Fill that out, and we'll pick 3 stories every episode. Okay, so for that segment, we'll pick 3 60-second stories. We want to showcase you and your impactful success with HighLevel. So that is going to be the 3 for 3. Yeah. 3 under
guys, but
3.
make sure you keep it snappy. We are looking for quick, snappy stories. So your name, your agency, the client you've worked with recently, and the amazing benefit you've been able to provide to them and as an extension of your services. That type of thing. 60 seconds, bang, 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 and we move on. We want to keep it
Right.
snappy. We want to give you opportunity to have a shout out and inspire others, but we want to also keep the episodes very structured and keeping it this particular structure. So hope you don't mind, but would love to have you. So just go ahead, submit those little recordings, and we'll feature in the next episode. And on that note, guys, thank you so much for listening. Tim, thank you for staying all the way to the end. I know your hourly rate is like way, like you shouldn't even be sitting here by now. I don't know what you're doing here, bro.
I've automated the invoice, mate. It's coming to you.
Love it.
You got that
So-
one, right? You got that one right, Vit?
Yep. So thank you guys once again. Thank you guys for listening to this show, to today's episode on the High Level Experience. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then please share it with your fellow agency mates and other high levelers that you think would also benefit from listening, because it's a lonely ride. Lonely ride on this high level thing can be tricky when you're starting with this. For show notes, links, and extra tips to help you grow your agency or your SaaS with High Level, please go to HighLevelExperience.com. That's HighLevelExperience.com. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day, everybody. And P.S., don't forget to submit your impact story to be featured on our next episode. P.P.S., if you're interested to be our next guest, go to HighLevelExperience.com as well to see if you qualify. And lastly, if you're interested to advertise on our podcast, then head over to HighLevelExperience.com/advertise.
Love it. Thanks for listening, guys. Tim, pleasure meeting you, man.
You too.
That's it, bro.